All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We are talking about the 9-3 Green Bay Packers in tonight's video because tomorrow night on Thursday Night Football, we got a road matchup against the Detroit Lions. And coincidentally, the last time the Green Bay Packers lost a football game over a month ago was at home against the Detroit Lions. Now, we know Detroit's the best team in the NFC. They're one of, if not the best team in the entire NFL. And right now, Green Bay is being... The narrative around Green Bay is there's just like no fear really of this team. I think the interceptions Jordan Love went through in the first half of the season was very overstated. I think people were just overreacting to it. And this is a completely different Packers team than it was, 1 month ago at home against Detroit. And, even if you negate Jordan's pick six in that football game, it was like 14-7. Green Bay would have lost 14-7. So 17, 19, 10, and 17. Those are the point totals the Green Bay Packers defense has allowed in the last 4 games against Detroit, Chicago, San Francisco, and Miami. The Packers currently now ranked tied for 9th in the NFL in scoring defense through 12 games, allowing only 20 points per game. So my point is, right now, people aren't really fearing any team in the NFC right now unless you are the Detroit Lions or the Philadelphia Eagles. But 24 hours from now, if Green Bay takes down Detroit, that narrative is going to change completely. This is undoubtedly a top 5 team in the National Football League, and the offense is really clicking. Jordan Love hasn't thrown an interception in back-to-back games, and narratives are really controlling it. Like, Brock Purdy didn't play against San Francisco. Well, we demolished them. Miami's not good in the cold. So Green Bay's had a stellar season thus far. And we're going to talk about this matchup and this team in today's video. But before we do, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. Die-hard Cheeseheads, we post a ton of Packers videos on this channel. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring it. More on that in just a couple of minutes. But this defense has been insane. It really has been. And once again, we'll get to Tua actually in just 1 second, but Green Bay's defense has been really good at forcing turnovers. Xavier McKinney tied with 7 interceptions, leading the National Football League. They did a phenomenal job against San Francisco. They scored 21 points on 2 fumbles and an interception. And even with Jordan Love's 11 interceptions on the season, Green Bay is still number 6 in turnovers in the entire turnover margin in the entire NFL at a +9. Green Bay has also allowed just 83 rushing yards and 0 rushing touchdowns over their last 2 games. The team has had only 2 such 2-game spans twice since 1950. 2016 weeks 2-3 and weeks 2-3 in 1998. So Jeff Hafley has this defense on a completely different level. And one of the most annoying things about that Tua Miami Dolphins game is, Tua went 37-46 for 365 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Tua played a great football game, and if his coach could figure it out, and the offensive line, and if they weren't having penalties, they would have handily beaten the Green Bay Packers. And when you look into the nitty-gritty, which we will hear, it's just not the case. And if you watch the game, that certainly was not the case. Through the Dolphins' first 11 games, their sack percentage allowed was 7%. Their pressure percentage allowed was 25.4%. Against Green Bay, that 7% metric rose to about 10, and that 25% metric rose to about 29. They even sacked Tua 5 total times by Quay Walker, Ngabari, Lucas Van Ness, Brenton Cox, and Kenny Clark. They all each had a full sack. All right, guys, before we get back into this video here, once again, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring it. We have a matchup against Detroit on the road tomorrow. We also play Minnesota, so I get it. Green Bay is currently 2 games back in the NFC North. But if you're feeling ballsy, I wanted to show you here on BetUS that the Green Bay Packers to win the NFC North are sitting here at +1,400. So if you're feeling confident, if you're feeling, Detroit's got a tough schedule, Minnesota's got a tough schedule, it's a little surprised to see +1,400. But if Green Bay wins tomorrow, you never know. Keep in mind, guys, BetUS is offering 150% bonus on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next 2, all with the code YouTube150. Let me know if the Packers can win the NFC North, and let's get back to the video. And so I was sick of hearing, Tua torched the defense. He threw for almost 400 total yards. Well, here's where things get funny, all right? Tua attempted 46 passes, but only 5 went for explosive gains, which is 16 or more yards. That's an explosive pass rate of 10.9. According to True Media, the Dolphins' explosive pass rate entering Thursday was 13.3%. So only 5 teams in the NFL have had a worse explosive pass rate on the season than Miami did at 10.9% Thursday against the Green Bay Packers. And once again, if you watched that football game, it wasn't even close. I mean, the score was 24-3 at halftime. The game script completely changes. You kind of start to get into a more game managing scenario. You're not taking all these deep shots, which Jordan Love was doing, but you just call the game a lot differently. Now, one big thing with Green Bay that we were worried about a couple of weeks ago was the pass rush, because before the San Francisco 49ers game 2 weeks ago, Green Bay had only 24 total sacks on the season. That was 18th in the NFL. They only had 2.4 sacks per game. Last year, Green Bay was not crazy, but they definitely weren't bad. They finished with 45 total sacks, which was dead middle at 16th in the NFL. But in these last 2 games, the Packers have had 7 total sacks, and guys like Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, Quay Walker's had the best 2-game stretch of his NFL career. Brenton Cox has been phenomenal. People were freaking out because we traded Preston Smith, thinking, why are you trading Preston Smith? We're struggling. Well, Preston Smith was not having a good year. He did not fit the scheme. So the last 2 games, they're getting to the quarterback, even if they're not taking him down. They sacked Allen, the quarterback for San Francisco, twice, but the pressure rate was like above 10%. It was very good. Now it still needs to improve because statistically they're only 17th in pressure percentage and 27th in pass rush win rate. But tomorrow, Detroit Lions, this is a big time game. If you can take down Jared Goff or if you can force turnovers, you're going to win the football game. I feel in divisional games, especially on the road, especially like it's not a short week because both teams played last Thanksgiving, which was last Thursday. Divisional games are always hard fought. And I think just genuinely, even though Detroit, I think I've got the utmost respect for them. I think they're a talented team. They'll probably, if somebody doesn't take them down, they're just going to go to the Super Bowl and just win this thing. The NFC North is up for grabs here. Minnesota only has 2 losses. Green Bay only has 3. Detroit's got 1. And they've got matchups against both teams. They still got another one against Chicago. Now is definitely the time to strike. And I just feel like if Jordan Love doesn't throw an interception tomorrow and Green Bay is able to win the turnover margin, they're going to be looking pretty good. And one guy who I'm hoping is going to just run all over Detroit's defense is Josh Jacobs, because through 13 games, he has almost 1,000 rushing yards. He's 3rd in the NFL with 987. He's right behind Saquon Barkley, or not right behind, but the 2 guys in front of him are Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, which is very good company to be in. So he's on pace to be just a little bit under 1,400 rushing yards. Post Ahmed Green's 2003 season where he ran for almost 1,900 rushing yards, only Ryan Grant in 2008 and 2009 have ran for over 1,200 yards in a season. So Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney, 2 day 1 free agency signings, these guys have been A+, and they're winning. They're helping contribute to wins. They're winning football games for this team. Josh Jacobs now has 5 straight games with 100+ scrimmage yards, and that is the longest such streak by a Packers player since Eddie Lacy all the way back in 2014, which was 10 years ago, and he's currently tied in it with Bijan Robinson, the Atlanta running back, for the longest streak in 2024. So if you can keep it clean tomorrow, if Jordan Love doesn't throw in any interceptions, you can force Jared Goff to throw a pick or 2 or a fumble. Jahmyr Gibbs fumbled last week, and Josh Jacobs does his thing. This defense does their thing. I feel good about a potential Packers upset. So that's it for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Wanted to get this Packers preview out for you guys. Hit that like button, hit that sub button if you haven't already. Most importantly, guys, give me your game prediction, your score prediction for tomorrow in Detroit. Thanks for watching. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this, and we will see you hopefully in 24 hours. Peace.